Hellmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. See Hellmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
It's better in September. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. I wish I still had one of those t-shirts that said better in September. It's better in September. I think it was the Long Beach Island Chamber of Commerce back in the late 70s or 80s, something like that. Of course, a t-shirt that I'd owned 40 years ago wouldn't fit me very well today, would it? I do have an old football jersey that used to fit over my shoulder pads that's rather snug right now. Go Rams. It's September 5th, 2024. Folks are back in school, obviously, Southern Regional and every other school throughout the Northeast. And being September 5th, 2024, it also means there's only 20 days left of New Jersey's summer flounder season. But it also means you don't need no stinking badges to get up on those beaches during normal hours. Good thing, too, because as we highlighted in last week's video fishing forecast, heading into the Labor Day weekend, it's hardtail season once again here in the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region. I received a ton of Labor Day photos from readers who really helped summarize the action that awaits you heading into this first weekend of September here along our New Jersey, Delaware beaches. Some good action this morning. That's what Bob Collins told me somewhere along the local beaches on Monday, reporting blues, fluke, and a bonus bonito. Tasty catch right there. While Jake Hurley said he found great fishing over the holiday weekend with Spanish mackerel, bonita, and his very first false albacore in the Point Pleasant surf that was caught on a Game On epoxy jig, exo jig. Not so tasty, not like the bonita, but an exciting challenge to catch, more so than the Spanish mackerel and bonita, which are so tasty to eat, so tasty on the table. So those false albacore, while you don't want to eat them, they are a challenge, and they will dump drag if you're throwing that light tackle. Now, for these species, by beach or boat, or kayak for that matter, slim metals like the Tsunami Slim Waves, the Deadly Dicks, exo jigs from Game On, the epoxy jigs, the Albi snacks, just keep an eye out for terns hovering over the surface of the water, or of course those all-out explosions popping up here, there, everywhere, wherever you aren't, usually is the way it goes. You have good action also along those jetties right now, so whether you find some groins that still have rocks at the Jersey Shore or some of those jetties, in terms of targeting tog or sheep's head as well. Heading into the Labor Day weekend, Tyler Deck hit a smaller Atlantic City jetty on incoming water, armed with his own homemade tog jig and 3 sand fleas for this 20-inch, 4.7-pound blackfish. Perfect table fare right there. And as I've been finding, blackened blackfish is just fantastic. Shoreside, you also have some weak fish around with those crisp, cooler nights, especially working a pink plastic around the dock lights or the quiet sedges and sod banks could do you well. I saw where weak fish whisperer Frank Rosinski hit a good one this week. He said he was out with his wife to watch the shooting stars, so romantic, and he wished upon a star while out with his wife. He wished for a weak fish and got it on the second cast. Doesn't get any better than that. It's a great time of year, of course, for fluking on the beach as well. The first waves of bait that's all stuck and loaded up into our estuaries, the creeks, the back bays. Some of that starts to stage at this point and starts to trickle out the inlet and down the beaches. So yeah, you have a good opportunity to catch some doormats. Doormats. Let's call a surf doormat 7 pounds. Except for this one. Sorry to say, our spot burn of the week is only available to heroes, those who served. Sean Moley, Earl Fishing Program Monitor, who authored an article in the Fisherman last year about the Naval Weapons Pier and fishing there, he let me know that the Patriots at Earl are still battling the doormats. Archie Hildago here, a 36-incher doormat weighed in at just under 14 pounds. Now, you might not have access to that incredible fantasy land of Raritan Bay fishing, but you can always hop on a boat. Kevin Malvarca from Morris Plains. He hopped aboard the Atlantic Highlands-based Mijo 2 last week on a Ramsey Outdoor sponsored trip. They limited out on fluke, or Kevin limited out on fluke, and had his biggest going about 5.1 pounds. I also heard from Sean Smith this week. He said that he and his crew boxed up 6 flatties to 5 pounds 5 ounces, along with a bonita and 3 sea bass on the reef structure while fishing aboard his dad's boat, Fishin' Fool. Remember, I mentioned the biscuits, the sea bass. That closed in New Jersey as of September 1st, so we won't have that fishery reopen again until October 1st. Now, Sean says they jigged gulp, sand eels, and the good old strip killie combo. But what they did in between drifts, when they finished one drift and they went back to start it again, they were trolling on the way back. So trolling some of those jigs, maybe small rapalas as well. That's how they got the bonita. They also said they had a large bluefin breaking the surface. I was stuck with deadlines on Wednesday of this week. My buddy Ryan called and said, let's go do a quick hitter for bluefin. I was like, I got too much to do after the Monday off. But he said they found really good bluefin action 17 miles out. His text back to me was, quote, "You don't want to know." I love that. Such is life. Tegan Fitzpatrick had a surprise bluefin as well while mahi fishing the Monster Ledge area. Hooked a decent under bluefin on 20-pound test. Almost got spooled while jigging, but was still able to get the gaff in him. It certainly is a great time of year along those mid-range grounds, even inshore. I saw some video someplace out on the South Shore of Long Island this week of giant bluefin inside the inlet. I know the big story earlier this year that we made big discussion about, made the rounds, bluefin in the Raritan Bay. I'm sure Raritan are coming in the Raritan Bay. There's so much bait that you do have the opportunity. Just remember, get your HMS permit. Even if you're just going off the beach and you think you're going to encounter a bluefin, or even you don't think you're going to encounter one, but you do, and you almost get spooled on 20-pound test, make sure you get that HMS permit. HMSpermits.gov, I think it is. That's where you can get that permit for your boat, just in case you do stumble into a bluefin this time of year. But even the mid-range mahi, this is a great time of year to hit those inshore mid-range fish pots, the lobster traps, and such. You'll typically find them on some of the jetties just outside the 3-mile line. Nick Hess, he sent this shot of buddy Jack Benson with a sizable mahi caught on Sunday, September 1st. Fish tacos for all my friends. Well, now listen, all the photos that I'm sharing, this is all the stuff that I've gotten since Labor Day weekend. So folks really put in their time over this past weekend, sent a bunch of photos. We still have some more to go through. Myself, I didn't take many pictures from this weekend except for an 18-inch tog that I caught in the back. But after doing a little bit of tog fishing in the back on a piece of structure, I tried to eke out a few more fluke in the back bay. I lost a lot of gulp and fish bite tails to the critters out back. Blowfish are in, particularly in the Barnegat Bay area, from top to bottom. All you want to do is you want to find yourself a quiet hole, anchor up with a chum pot, take a couple of logs of frozen clam chum, tip those high-low rigs with fish bite or clam, load up. Blowfish, fantastic eating fish. They fry up really nicely, almost like little drumsticks. You can go to thefisherman.com and look up blowfish. You'll probably find a cleaning method that's relatively simple to do. I'll see if I can add that to the report next week. In addition to some of those blowfish, you're apt to catch a puppy drum, some sea bass, little sea bass in the back that you have to throw back. There are a lot of croakers throughout the Garden State, especially Central Jersey, lower stretches of LBI, Little Egg Harbor down into Great Bay and Absecon Bay. And of course, you have those spot that are all over the state right now. Call them Cape May goodies. They do make a nice little fish fry if you get enough of them, but they're fantastic late season doormat baits, and the tuna fishermen love them. You also use them for striped bass in the fall as well.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Again, I know that we are getting back to school, kids, sorry. I know when I was your age, I hated that, but I love it now because it's the best time of year. But you're back to school, but there are still more than enough Bluebird days on the weekend to get the kids into the weekend action, whether it's going to be late season fluke, some back bay tog, or of course that chum pot fishing. This week's open boat, Jenni Ackerman has two very special guests, Miss Danny and Miss Gianna, who joined Jenni to show her how it's done on the fluke grounds, with the key message this week: be the change that you want to see in terms of getting those young anglers, turning them into hardcore anglers like you and I.
Hey everyone, welcome to Open Boats.
You guys could take my job. Good job, everyone. So hey everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. We're going out fluking, but more importantly, we're here with Danny and Gianna, and we're gonna talk about the importance of the future in fishing. So you guys like to fish, right? You were hanging around the dock looking for little dock critters before we went out. Today we're both, well, you guys, I don't know about me, you guys probably have to teach me how to fish. I'm a little rusty. You guys are both gonna come back with some 12-pounders today, right?
Yeah.
So these guys love to fish, and it's so important to get the younger generations out fishing, because that's the future of the fishing industry. You get youngins out here like this that understand fishing, and they learn about the regulations and all the different species you can catch based on the season. They enjoy it more and more, and they learn about not even a hobby, but you can make this into like a whole lifestyle and everything. Going back to the importance of fishing, like, because would you guys rather sit inside all day and play video games, or would you go out and want to go fishing?
I want to go out fishing.
Exactly, good. We didn't have to bribe you for the answer, but at a younger age, being active in such a well-rounded community, especially girls in the fishing industry, you know, we got to represent, we got to outfish all the boys, right? It's important to just learn about the species, and then as you get older, you can be like, hey, I really like fishing, but I want to make this into a career. You can get into, you can work for the Fisherman magazine. You can be my interns next summer. You can work in the conservation field. You can learn about protecting a species. You can work for, you know, like the Coast Guard, and you can protect the fishermen that go out there and go boating and go catch fish. So it's all important, and it's not just about catching a fish, it's molding your future. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's get rigged up and let's go catch some fluke, right? Yeah. Give me high fives. High fives all around, let's go. We'll see you guys out there. Good job. Keep it coming. It's far away from the boat. See if you want to net this. Keep it coming, you got it. Where is he going? There you go! Good job! There we go. We'll zoom in on his face there. Good job. Good job! Good, you can release it.
Good job.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah. You want to go one too?
Yeah. That's a fluke. Perfect. Good.
Now is the best time to buy a boat at the Jersey Shore Boat Sale and Expo. Fishing boats for inland and offshore. Tons of center consoles. September 27th through 29th, Shoretown Ballpark, home of the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. Tickets at jerseyboatexpo.com.
Life is better with a boat.
Look for Miss Jenni on the cover of the September edition of the Fisherman magazine. We went to print last week. At this point, it should have arrived in your mailbox, hopefully by before Labor Day weekend. I think I got my copy on Thursday. But if you're not a subscriber for whatever reason, you'll find that edition in local newsstands throughout the New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania region, as well as all of the local tackle shops. Inside that table of contents for the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition, we're fluking down the home stretch. We're in the bottom of the ninth, let's call it the bottom of the eighth. We still have an inning to go. But Scott Newhall will help you with those late season fluke tactics. We've got a slow pitch jigging story from Lawrence Thompson. Look for the mullet run with field editor Nick Honicheski of Saltwater Underground. There's a guide to prepping for the fall striper run with Nicholas Simioli, and September river bass, largemouth and smallmouth with Bruce Litton. In the glossy section, recently retired Monmouth University professor John Tiedemann provides an update on the various research techniques being employed now by a lot of the universities, including Monmouth, to study striped bass. We've got Chuck Manny offering a personal perspective, his own observations on the striped bass migration through our own tagging work, and also Chuck's prolific fishing exploits. There's also a rod bench feature from Matt Broderick if you're interested in building a light tackle surf stick for the fall, and a cool photo feature on using spooks on stripers by the Di Donato boys. Finally, John Raguso has a monthly feature every month in the Fisherman magazine. This month is about tuna chunking. It is, of course, prime time here at the Jersey Shore, the month of September all the way into October, for chunking at the edge for some of those yellowfin tuna. In fact, I received a message this week from Will Fredericks, who said he just had a great chunking trip with some really big yellowfin offshore indeed. I love this photo, and I would imagine you're going to see it appear at some point in the pages of the Fisherman magazine as well. In fact, just as the September edition hits newsstands, I'm already sitting at my desk working on the October edition. I've got a cover picked out for October that I cannot wait to show. Rocktoberfest indeed for striper fishing. Again, lots of photos being sent to me. You can send them in to jhutchinson@thefisherman.com. We'll try to get them in the weekly video fishing forecast. And I have, probably 100 photos I still have to publish on the pages of the Fisherman magazine as well. As we transition to fall, surfcasters returning to the beaches. I mentioned before that this time of year is an ideal recon period. You take those lighter surf outfits that we talked before, a bag of tins and exo jigs and epoxy jigs to chase those hardtails, maybe some bucktails or even jerk baits for fluke if that's what you wish. But you can figure out where all those cuts and sloughs are this time of year. Clear water, right? Beautiful bluebird conditions. And as long as we don't get too much of a big tropical heave, a northeast heave in the fall, if you go to the beaches at high tide and low tide, and again, no badges needed at this point, but you can figure out where all those cuts and sloughs are, which will help you better prepare for the fall run when those stripers arrive. Now's the time, of course, to keep your eye out on beach buggy permit sales at the Jersey Shore, wherever your favorite town is. In terms of, let's say, the top of the world, from Brick Township all the way down. There's no beach buggy access north of Brick Township, none in Monmouth County, but all the towns and communities from Brick down into Cape May County, this is the time of year we're going to start doing beach buggy sales, permit fees, and most towns sell out rather quickly. So if you do plan to drive the beaches this fall, make sure you check with a local municipality where you like to fish. You can also head over to the New Jersey Beach Buggy Association's website. That's at njbba.org. On the left-hand side at the top, there's a button there for beach access. It'll give you a comprehensive listing of New Jersey access info. Now, it was updated last in 2021. I'm sure these guys are going to be updating it again, but the NJBBA folks are always busy anyway, protecting our rights to access the beaches. I'm sure it'll be updated, but this one is as updated as you can possibly get. and find anywhere. So go over there to njbba.org and find your favorite access points at the Jersey Shore. Our video production maven, Tim C. Smith, did a cool feature recently on tire inflators, matching up some of the widely available units for your four-wheel drive. I keep one, I think I got at Harbor Freight, tucked under the seat in the cab of my truck. A lot of places do have those air compressors. They do have the air stations. Island Beach has one, but a lot of the communities where you might be fishing, you're not able to inflate once you get off the soft and get onto the hard. So you're driving with underinflated truck tires. But with this feature from Tim, take a look at some of the inflator options that you can keep in your truck. And let's see, maybe Tim's got some updates on our Dreamboat Fishing Challenge and Coastal Kayak Clash as well.
After a long day on the beach fishing, one of the hassles is reinflating your tires. Some areas have air hoses that you could actually reinflate right there at the beach. But sometimes also, those could be long lines when everybody's getting off the beach and it could take a while. In the last bunch of years, there's been these inflators on the market. And there's a couple that we're going to check out here and see which one might work best on the beach. First, we got the Makita. The advantage to this, it's got long battery life. You could use these Makita batteries. If one's dead, you just pop another one on. It has an LED light when you're using it, but there are some drawbacks. When you set the PSI and you start it, it expects you to hold your finger down on the trigger. It will shut off when it hits the correct PSI, however. To fix that, I got to use a clamp. This one is also a little expensive. It's a little over $100, and that does not include the battery. This is the Air Motto. You've probably seen this all over the internet. It's self-contained. It's rechargeable with a USB-C port. You just screw this on, put in your PSI, and off you go. Now, I've used this on the road on long trips. If my air pressure's down a couple pounds, I've used this. And then I've got this from Harbor Freight. This is about 40 bucks. I forgot to mention this is about $80. This is about $40, and it has a little gauge on it. It's simple. It doesn't automatically shut off. You got to keep an eye on the gauge, and that's how you would inflate your tires. But this works off your cigarette lighter, so you really don't have to worry about recharging it or having enough battery power like this one. You just plug it into your cigarette lighter and off you go. Next, we're going to test the inflators and see which one might be right for you. First thing that we're going to do is deflate our tires to 15 pounds, and then I'm going to time each one of these inflators and see how long they take to get to 32 pounds of pressure. Okay, let's get started, and we're going to start with the Makita first. Now let's test the inflator from Harbor Freight. Now let's check out the mighty Air Motto. So the final results are in on our test. We have the Pittsburgh inflator from Harbor Freight, about 40 bucks. It inflated the tire from 15 PSI to 32 PSI in about 7 minutes. It worked well, just a little bit slower, and you got the cumbersome issue with the long cable that you got to plug into a cigarette lighter. But not a bad item for $40. You've got this for $80. It was slow. It took 18 minutes plus to inflate that tire from 15 to 32 PSI. The other thing about it, in daylight, it's very difficult to read the front of the panel. At night, it's fine. In daylight, you can't see it. This is a no-go for the beach because it was only able to inflate one tire. I tried to inflate another tire, and it died after 4 minutes, so no good. The winner is the Makita, the most expensive one, but it did the fastest job. It inflated that tire in about 5 minutes, and there was plenty of battery power to keep inflating tires. Now, I know Milwaukee makes an inflator also. I'm curious if anybody out there has used the Milwaukee. Let us know in the comments how well that's worked out for you. So this is Tim C. Smith for thefisherman.com. And now the Dream Boat Fishing Challenge entries for the week. We only had one entry from Rich Rubino, a Long Island fisherman subscriber from Deer Park, New York, who weighed his catch in at Saltwater's Tackle in West Islip. With his catch of a sea robin weighing in at 2.8 pounds, that puts Rich in third in the sea robin category. The leaderboard for this week stands at Scott Waterman at 17 points, Brian Zembreski at 13 points, Anthony Savino at 11 points. The fall run is going on now, so there's plenty of time to enter your fish to win that Steigercraft powered by Yamaha and many other great prizes. But you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine to enter.
It was another exciting week in the CKC. We had two fish that really added some urgency to the contest. Bob Wagner notched this 24.75-inch albie, landing him in second place for the hardtail category, but Justin Oster kept the pressure on, upgrading his first place hardtail with a 29-inch beast of an albie. The top of the leaderboard looks like this. Todd Treones holds third place with 5 points. Bob Wagner pushes his score to 10 points, but remains in second place, and Justin Oster hangs on by a single point to maintain his lead with 11 points.
Get ready for the ultimate powerboating experience at the Annapolis Powerboat Show. Explore the latest models, gear, and accessories. Fun for the whole family with live demos, expert advice, and more. Your adventure starts here.
Fall back to the mountains. I love heading up to the Pennsylvania area, Poconos, Northwest Jersey this time of year. Let's head out west for a freshwater fishing look, a whole spotlight on the tri-state options in the Sweetwater with my friend George Schauer, Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, those post-Labor Day cooler temperatures are really kicking in high gear in the Poconos. I think it was 46 when I left the house this morning, so really going to help get those water temperatures down and pick that bite up as we move forward. Things like the striper bite's going to really turn on. You know, we're seeing it somewhat in the Delaware. Heidi Keebler actually checked in with a really nice striper she got in the upper Delaware, so the bite is really kicking on there. Other places like Wallenpompak and Beltsville, you know, don't forget to throw those tsunami plugs that we gave away earlier this year at the shows. This is really the time of year you want to turn that bite on. You'll see them circling up bait and busting just like you would off of LBI. Those stripers will be on those Alwise. Throw that topwater right in there, and it's a really good bite to get on this time of year. Also, as the water temperatures are cooling down, we can get on that trout bite again. You know, if you guys want to do catch and release, you have a better chance of a successful release when this water is much cooler. They're just not going to survive if you get above, you know, 60 some degrees. So good time of year. The water temperature in Lehigh's cool, Beltsville's cooling down, all the big lakes are cooling down. Delaware River was just under 70 degrees when I checked this morning, so things are looking really good, guys. I hope you get out and get on this weekend. I think we're in for a really good treat as far as the weather goes, so go catch them up. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Save the date, Thursday, September 26th, is the Fisherman Magazine's fishing show at the Hilton in Melville, Long Island. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the first 500 through the door get a bag full of fishing gear worth more than the $20 admission. Inshore, offshore, surf, we cover it all. Fishing seminars from the Sharpies. Great deals on tackle. A giant raffle. You don't want to miss out. Want to be an exhibitor? We still have a few tables available, but they're going fast. Contact the Fisherman at 631-345-5200 for more info. See you there.
In that latest edition of the Fisherman magazine for September that I mentioned before, turn to page 9 for our full calendar of events for September in terms of tournaments, shows, meetings, all the activities throughout the New Jersey region coming up. You have the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council, one of the first on the list. That is Thursday, September 5th. That's tonight. I don't think there's much going on, but I'll report to you about that next week. You have the Atlantic City In-Water Boat Show this weekend at Farley Marina. That's Golden Nugget there in Atlantic City, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You also have the North Wildwood Surf Fishing Tournament. That's the 55th year of this 3-day event in North Wildwood this weekend. Registration is at the Gazebo on 3rd and JFK Boulevard. You can get details by calling 609-522-2955 or visit northwildwood.com. Again, details are in that Fisherman magazine, page 9 in the calendar of events. It also mentions in there, if you take a look, that Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle is also kicking off his Fall Striped Bass Derby, which actually also includes bluefish, kingfish, and tog as well. It's a good time of year to load up on those kingfish in the surf. Another tasty little panfish option that could win you prizes at Riptide Bait and Tackle starting next week. I'll remind you, kingfish is also an available species in the 70th annual Long Beach Island Surf Fishing Classic. That 9-week tournament kicks off on October 5th. I bring it up now because you can get your registration and your commemorative LBI Surf Fishing Classic hat right now when you stop in and register at Surf City Bait and Tackle, Fisherman's headquarters in Ship Bottom, or Jingles in Beach Haven. Again, those hats are on a limited supply for that tournament that kicks off on October 5th. So let's go check out some of the local news headlines this week before we wrap up our first video fishing forecast of September 2024. Industrial offshore wind, my favorite, least favorite topic of the news today. Here we go. It's been, what, a year maybe, I guess? I think it was last October when Ørsted, the Danish oil and natural gas company, that's their name before they changed to Ørsted, they pulled the plug on New Jersey's industrial offshore wind effort. They still own the lease, and they still own whatever they've done, so I imagine they're looking to try to change hands at this point. But they're not the only one now pausing their activities. Another industrial offshore wind behemoth is also asking for a pause. Wayne Parry with the Associated Press reports this week that Leading Light Wind has asked the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities to give them until December to try to find a new turbine blade supplier for their project, which is planned 40 miles east of Long Beach Island, like over 100 turbines. Imagine those power cables burrowed through 40 miles of underwater seabed. I don't know, I guess finding a good turbine blade supplier is not as easy as finding pumpkin spice candles, coffee, and muffins this time of year. And it sounds like that's the same problem that the folks at Vineyard Wind had too, I guess. One of their first blades that they installed, we talked about this several weeks ago, one of their blades fell off one of these ginormous turbines, broke into pieces with all these non-toxic fiberglass pieces washing up on the beaches of Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, Rhode Island beaches, and I understand out eastern Long Island and Montauk as well. Now, it's funny peculiar, not funny ha-ha, that all of these industrial offshore wind folks promised that these turbine clusters are all green and warm and fuzzy. Yet last month, at a wind hearing, a Rhode Island woman named Constance Gee, she's a member of Green Oceans, she rose to speak out about these blade remnants washing up on the beaches. She even brought samples that she had collected along the beaches to show these council members just how bad it had become. That's when one guy got up from his chair, grabbed her evidence of corporate neglect, and tossed them to the side. He hassled this woman, poked an index card in her face, even tore the microphone out of somebody else's hands who stood in opposition to industrial offshore wind, took the microphone away, unplugged it, threw that away as well. I'm not sure. I feel like I should be shocked that the officials in this council meeting let this guy's behavior go on without removing him from the room, though I guess I really shouldn't be too surprised. Well, here's the latest on that story. According to news reports, David Booth of Tiverton, Rhode Island, was arrested after police reviewed video footage of the meeting. They charged Mr. Booth with simple assault and disorderly conduct following this Newport City Council session on offshore wind. Booth, check this out, apparently works for Climate Jobs Rhode Island as a field coordinator, which I reckon is just a fancy term for thug. In terms of wind off New Jersey, Delaware Bay, the Delaware coast this weekend, we're going to go to NOAA Marine Weather. There's a little bit of it in the Friday forecast, mostly east-northeast for the next few days. That's today, Thursday, into Friday. Nothing that will affect your Saturday plans, Saturday and Sunday plans, I don't think. In fact, pushing some of this, some of the water in closer, maybe packing some more of the bait in close and bringing some more game fish in close. East-northeast winds might be pretty good. But what I really love is Sunday's forecast, when winds are predicted by NOAA Marine Weather to go out of the northwest, which should make it rather interesting out along the front beaches in terms of looking for some of those hardtails. Offshore, Hudson to Baltimore, best I can say is that we're in that tropical season, and the windows for getting offshore get tight. But if you're heading east in search of tuna, you know that September and October are the times when you really need to be a little bit more flexible. You need to plan for multiple days in order to get that timing down, because you might get weathered out on a Friday and hopefully you have Saturday or Monday and Tuesday, or you just know what it's like. It's a great time of year to get out to the edge, but you really do have to keep an eye on the weather. Mother Nature, very much like field coordinators or community organizers, can sometimes be rather thuggish when it comes to coastal wind, I reckon. Remember though, remember the t-shirt. God, I would love to see one of these old t-shirts we had so far back. It's better in September. Atlantic cod has reopened as of September 1st. Porgy is reopened again in New Jersey as of September 1st. I know that for hire captains, especially the head boats in Monmouth County, are super excited about that fact. And with 20 days left in the New Jersey fluke season, this is typically the very best time of year for chasing doormats in the deeper channels up on the Raritan, Delaware Bay, out of the old grounds, and all that reef rock and rubble structure off our beaches. Mid-range bluefin and albies, bones, and Spanish mackerel on the inshore grounds. And again, like I said, with that northwest wind in the prediction, I'm forecasting that Saturday or Sunday morning in the northwest should be prime time for you to grab some of those tins and head up to the beach in search of some of those false albacore, the bonita, or the Spanish mackerel. I think it's really going to be a beautiful Sunday morning for you if you can get out there and enjoy it. Catch them up. I'll see you again next week at the Fisherman, right here at thefisherman.com.